Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. You know, folks, crazy happenings yesterday in the trial of Sarah Boone testifying in court. Everyone got to see who she is and what she's like. I don't know. I just cold, calculating, uh, damaged. Those are the words that come to my mind when you think of what she's being charged with: murder in the second degree. And of course, uh, we see on this thumbnail right on the screen, manslaughter first degree was offered as a plea deal in which she turned it down. She turned down manslaughter. So does she really think that with all the evidence against her, she's going to be found innocent? Anyone watching the trial yesterday, watching her on the stand, will they look at that and see her as innocent? Is the battered woman defense going to work? When her defense attorney started showing pictures of some of the wounds that she sustained in this, I guess it was over 4-year relationship with George Torres, that started maybe creating some doubt in the minds of the jurors in the way that maybe she was a battered woman. I thought, as far as the defense, that was the most powerful thing they raised. But can anyone forget whatsoever the video of George Torres begging to come out of that suitcase? And to me, that is the most powerful piece of evidence in this entire case. And then we hear later on that she was hitting him with a bat, hitting the suitcase with a bat. They even produced the bat. Circus-like. I think that the judge has provided so much leeway in this case that I'm frankly a little bit shocked that he has allowed so much to come into this case, that he may have erred on the side of too much leniency towards the defense. Don't forget, she's been waiting over 4 years to take this case to trial. It's finally at trial. So what are all the things that we saw yesterday? Some people are saying this seemed like a circus. Well, it continues today. So folks, hold on to your hats, hold on to your seats. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone, the police off-the-cuff zone.
There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
Folks, first, a word from our sponsor. Basketball fans, it's that time of year again. The NBA is back, from the opening tip-off to buzzer beaters. Bet Online has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. This season, every game matters. Bet Online has every stat, matchup breakdown, and live odds to bet on during the game. And it's not just the NBA. Bet Online has odds on everything from football, Major League Baseball playoffs, NHL, to political props. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. So getting back to Sarah Boone, I was amazed that yesterday, one of the things that I could not believe is that he allowed the prosecutor, the judge allowed the prosecutor and Sarah Boone to in the front of the entire courtroom to go and demonstrate the suitcase and how it was unzipped and what position it was in. I never saw that before in a trial where the defendant and the prosecutor get up on almost like on the stage doing a little show with the suitcase. Was it effective? I don't know. Let's take a look at it. Let's see how effective it was.
Parts were positioned when you say that Mr. Torres was able to get his hand out. If you want me to do it, I'm fine to take your direction.
From what I remember, this is how the suitcase was.
But she's demonstrating the suitcase for those that are listening to this podcast, trying to unzip it and having some difficulty.
This was not this hard either.
It wasn't this hard at that time to open it.
This was like here.
Okay.
Right here.
The prosecutor's trying to determine what positions the zippers were in when it was open and when it was closed, and that's what he's doing right now. He's down almost on his knees, manipulating the zippers on the suitcase right now. And I'm doing this for the benefit of those that are listening on Spotify and on all the listening sites. And of course, the defense attorney is there also. So they're
Sure.
it looks like two suitcase salesmen demonstrating the pros and cons of this particular model. I've never seen anything like this in a courtroom before.
I assume this one was much closer. It's not over there? Where did you
You asked me where I zipped it.
when you say that it was zipped shut, show us.
Are you talking about how I zipped it or?
When you're done zipping it shut and he's inside of it, where are the zipper components?
And Sarah is bending over the suitcase right now, manipulating the zippers to the position that she remembers they were in. And the defense attorney now is helping her.
It was the corner.
It's unbelievable. And the prosecutor was just going to move in there and kneel down near the suitcase. It's one hell of a show here.
This one was already pre-imaged. Yes.
And Sarah's showing the exact position of
From what I can
the
remember.
zippers.
That's how he was coming with his hand out. It was like this from the corner part.
Okay. Thank you. You can return your seat.
So that was
Can
that
we
show of
see how it
showing
was?
the suitcase. Don't forget when George Torres, according to Sarah Boone, when she said he stuck his hand outside of the suitcase, and remember she hit the hand with a bat. Do we believe that he was even able to get his hand outside of the suitcase? So at some point he got his hand outside of the suitcase. She hit it with a bat and then re-zipped it. I mean, can you make this stuff up? No, you can't. So what does this go to? Does this go to manslaughter? Or does this show the actus rea of the act, the physical act that you need to do that when you go back to, to the law, the culpable states of mind, which I taught you guys, RIC, the acronym RIC, recklessly, intentionally, criminally, negligently, or knowingly. That's the culpable states of mind. For her to zip him into a suitcase, and when his hand appeared outside the side of the suitcase to hit him with a bat, I would say that that's intentionally and knowingly, wouldn't you? Don't you have to intentionally swing or poke a bat at someone? And she demonstrated on the stand. I thought it was pretty powerful yesterday how she poked him with the baseball bat. It was like a poking motion, like a, forward, and I was demonstrating pushing the bat forward to hit him in the hand, to get that hand back inside that suitcase. What was the point of that? What was the point of her poking him with a baseball bat? I would say intentionally. Was it that she feared he was going to get out and kill her, as she testified to? Was that what she was afraid of? That she was afraid he was going to kill her. And that's why she wanted to make sure he stayed inside there.
We ended up, I guess, arguing back and forth with one another, and it was the things that he was saying very much frightened me.
She's accused of zipping George Torres up in a suitcase and leaving him to die. Boone described what happened leading up to his death. She said they went from laughing to arguing while he was inside the suitcase.
My fear was that he was going to break out of the suitcase, knowing that it was a broken suitcase.
Claiming Torres was abusive toward her, and she was scared.
For everything you've done to me.
I shook the suitcase, trying to get his hand to go back in, shaking it, and telling him that, please stop doing this. Please stop doing this to me. He would have made me unrecognizable, or I would have lost my life.
And then she grabbed her son's baseball bat.
I kind of pushed, like I held it with the skinny part here, and then
So the grip here.
prodded at it, yes.
Boone went on to say she went to bed, with Torres still zipped in the suitcase. Boone's testimony today setting up the rest of the defense's case, saying she was a battered spouse and she killed Torres in self-defense.
When he was in the suitcase, he was threatening her, threatening you. Can you tell the jury what he was saying?
I don't know, am I allowed to curse?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a murder trial. I think you
That
can
he was
curse.
going to end me.
If she let him out of the suitcase, she was going to be harmed based on him trying to get out with his hand, based on the threats he made while he had his hand out, and based on the threats he made while he had his hand inside just before she went upstairs.
All right, some interesting details, and let's bring into the conversation right now criminal defense attorney.
So yeah, very, very interesting, and we don't need a talking head to discuss this with us. What do we believe it? That's what this comes down to. I mean, it's so crazy. Like, when we think of self-defense, don't we think of a time frame? Don't we think of the threat to your life is usually imminent, right? So that you must defend yourself right there, right then and now. That's where the threat is. But where was the threat to her as he was locked in this suitcase? And you heard her testify to the fact that she felt that if she let him out, he would kill her. But there was a remedy to that, wasn't there? The remedy to that was to call 911, to call the police. But then, of course, she was afraid that they would both get arrested. Or was she even thinking clearly enough? Because you could hear from those 911, excuse me, the recorded video of the suitcase, you could hear how intoxicated she was, how slurred her words were. She couldn't say it. That's how she sounded, you know, laughing and cursing and being vindictive towards George Torres as he begged for his life. Sarah, I can't breathe. Sarah, you have to let me out of here. Sarah. And she was like, that's on you. That's on you. That's my name. Don't wear it out. You know, it was almost when you heard this, when you heard her saying these things, you almost couldn't believe this was a human being that would allow someone she allegedly loved him, that's, as to her words, to let him die right in front of her face. And he was obviously suffering right in front of her face, right? Suffering, just absolutely incredible. The way she he was suffering and saying, Sarah, I can't breathe. Sarah, let me out of here, please, Sarah. And just that way she had no sympathy. Is that the words of someone who felt that her life was threatened? Was that someone that was acting in self-defense? That's up to the jury to decide. But in my mind, I don't think so. XXXXX, the prosecution sucked. This DA is going to try stuff on Stearns. I don't believe it's the same DA, but I'm going into the chat here. She wasn't Ray Heap. She wasn't scared of George. She knew what she was doing. She's so ignorant. Even she had problems opening the suitcase. So how is George going to get out? Exactly. It's not believable. Birdie 61. Hi everyone. I'm a newbie, first time here. I'm a worker lurker, but I wanted to say hey. Well, hello, Birdie 61. Pomo no week at 1976. I seen a video of the parents and cried. They've seen how the lady would be to their son. Yeah, it's Simi Sharp. I hope the state plays the video in their closing as the last thing the jury hears when going into deliberations. Yeah, I think the most powerful thing that for me, it's almost the only thing I would have to see or hear is that video. To see or hear that video, to me, is the entire case. Let's hear Sarah again.
You heard that they were actually questioned. I think the audio, they were audio interviewed. You heard from Detective Copsel. I think it was a couple of days later on the 25th of February or 27th of February.
Yes.
And you heard their testimony earlier this week.
Yes.
Where they hear a kind of a thumping sound starting at the top of the steps, ending at the bottom.
Yes.
Have they got the night wrong?
Yes.
So explain to the jury that.
So it was the night before. Again, I was sleeping, and in the middle of the night with the door barricaded, he came in and ripped me out of the bed. And first got me with one hand and then got both hands and pulled me completely off of the bed. And then, like a caveman, had my hair like this and was going down the stairwell, taking me with him to come downstairs so I could sit and drink with him.
Do you believe that's the noise that the two neighbor boys heard?
I absolutely do.
And it was just the night before?
Correct.
Andy the Gabby Cabby from the chat. Thank you so much for the 10-pound super sticker. I'm struck by her difficulty doing those zippers up on the case, and she's sober. That would give him time to get out, in my view. So why was he so drunk he couldn't, or physically incapacitated? Andy, I would only have to imagine that part of it was a lack of oxygen. Besides the fact that he was intoxicated, he also had suffered for a lack of oxygen for a while. Inside that suitcase, he was totally helpless. Without someone saving his life, he was going to die inside that suitcase, which in fact he did do.
Now, some of the time when this abuse occurred, you called the police.
Yes.
And other times the police were not called.
Correct.
I want to refer to you the first time, I believe, you mentioned the 911 call. I believe that was July 25th of 2018.
Yes.
And that was the incident in which Georgia kicked you in the eye.
Stomped me, yes.
Stomped you in the eye. And you had grabbed his neck.
Yes, I was able to get my arms out from him pinning me down with his knees and grab his neck.
So law enforcement came and investigated,
Yes,
and both of you were arrested.
correct.
Do you recall asking the officer when you were arrested, why am I being arrested?
Many times, yes.
Do you recall asking the officer, why am I being arrested?
Yes.
And do you recall making any other statements to law enforcement as to why you did what you did to George?
That was the first time ever that I actually officially fought back.
Did you tell the officer that you were fighting back?
Yes, because I was in complete shock that I was getting arrested because of it.
You know, when you have two combatants, and let's call them what they are, combatants, because they had a history of cross-complaint domestic violence, the officers responding have to somehow determine who the primary aggressor is, who started this, who is the aggressor. And if they can't do that, in a case like this, they're both drunk, they're both unreasonable, law enforcement will arrest both of them. And this is what happened. So she's not the little meek little fawn she's pretending to be. To me, she seems like a pit bull, you know? And I'm not buying it, but is the jury buying this defense? Are they buying this battered woman, this self-defense? That remains to be seen. Defense is thinking of a question to ask, I guess.
Now, on the 2-minute video, the suitcase video, you mentioned to him, I think you said something, I can't breathe. He said, I can't breathe. And you said, that's how I feel when you're choking me. Were you referring to an isolated incident of the night before, 2 nights before, or whatever, or were you referring to in general?
In general, the more than 2 or 3, 4 times that he had done it.
Okay. And then the part about cheating, he didn't physically cheat on you.
No, he did not.
Okay. And just, I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but what are you referring to there?
George was, I believe, addicted to pornography, and a lot of that would be found on my phone from him supposedly wanting to call up job interviews. And as a solution, I sat him down and I explained to him, to me, that's you visualizing yourself with someone else, or at least having a pleasurable moment with someone else or watching other people. And to me, I told him that I considered that cheating on me.
Okay. And so he would download that on your phone?
Yes.
How did you stay with him? You got to tell the jury.
As anyone who has ever been in love, or when you love someone, or primarily someone or something, you go above and beyond, and you tolerate and you endure and you persevere, and you try to make that person as spectacular as you possibly can, no matter the sacrifice that you may have to go through, to serve someone else in a positive light so they can be better people for themselves, and to just make them a happier person. And love is very strong, and love is very deep. And love, I believe, is not fully understood in a lot of ways for how different people react to it. And I very much, deeply, and passionately love George. I love him to this day.
Did you not want to be alone?
At the beginning, through my divorce, it was very nice to have him around, and he was a man to me, and I felt protected, and he's very nice. And as lame as it sounds, he used to compliment me, and it made my day. So yes.
You know, it seems like as I read the chat, most of you ladies are not very sympathetic to her. And if anyone would be sympathetic, I would think it would be ladies that maybe understand domestic violence. Some perhaps have had it occur to them. So when I see in the chat that you ladies, almost 100% it seems, are unsympathetic to her, I'm wondering how the jury is going to feel. And this is what the jury is going to be left with. The suitcase. Him calling out of the
For
suitcase.
everything you've done to me. For everything you've done to me. Fuck you. Fuck you. Stupid. That's my name. Don't wear it on.
Childish, huh? But this isn't childish.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Wow.
I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Can't breathe. It's on you.
Real or ransom. Now you want to give me for it extra. Because I got this.
Sarah.
Real or ransom.
This is what the jury's going to see.
I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you cheat on me.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
I can't breathe, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the fuck up.
For the record, that was IMG_1062.mov, now publishing 1063, same response.
The court watching the video of him begging for his life, no doubt the prosecution, that is the last thing they should be playing as this goes to the jury. The video. And no matter how she testifies, the battered woman syndrome, how she loved George, how she was afraid for her life that he was going to get out of that suitcase and kill her. To me, and I think many of you in the chat, that video erases all of her testimony, erases everything the defense says, erases all the excuses, erases their relationship, erases their history of domestic violence. That video of the suitcase, of her hitting him with a bat, the testimony, just absolutely, absolutely horrific. So as you watch the trial, the rest of the trial today, you remember that and you put yourself on the jury there. So folks, this has just been a short video of Police Off the Cuff, a little bit of the police perspective and a recap of yesterday's testimony. Have a great day today, everyone, and we'll talk to you later on. I'm Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff. Real crime stories.
One episode just ain't enough.